Hello everybody, it's foofootoo here, and today I'm doing a video considering Illumise and Volbeat and the buffs that they've got this generation to see how good they are now and which one of the two is better. I hope you enjoy this video, and please consider leaving a like if you do enjoy this content. It really helps me decide what you guys want to see. These two Firefly Pokemon were introduced in Generation 3. They are male-female counterparts with very similar stats. The only difference is that they've got inverted attacking stats. So Volbeat has slightly higher attack stat and Illumise has slightly higher special attack stat. Both have decent support move pools with moves like Baton Pass, Thunder Wave and Encore, and the main difference comes in Volbeat actually having a signature move back in Generation 3 in Tail Glow. This gives it +3 special attack in one turn, and it was amazing. It is an amazing move. Now it's got wider distribution. Volbeat has very low special attack, so it couldn't really use it to the best of its potential, but as I said, it does get Baton Pass, so it can pass that massive special attack boost to something else to take advantage of it. Illumise conversely only got access to Wish, which plenty of other Pokemon get, and so it can pass wishes off and act as that support role, but there are a number of reasons why Illumise is not the best of that. In follow-up generations, these bugs did get some buffs. They got U-Turn to help with momentum, and Gen 5 saw a big buff because they got their hidden abilities Prankster, which gives all of their support, utility and annoyance moves +1 priority, which was fantastic for them and really boosted their viability. Until then, they were both pretty much on a level pegging, apart from obviously Volbeat having this amazing Tail Glow move and having a slightly stronger U-Turn. So until now, Volbeat has always been the stronger choice. So let's consider the Generation 7 buffs to see if that is still the case. But first off, I'm going to talk about a nerf. As I said, these two do get the Prankster ability, and that has been nerfed in this generation because Dark types are now immune to Prankster moves, which is a bit annoying for these two. They do like to spread their annoyance, their Thunder Waves, their Encores, and Dark types being immune to this is really frustrating. However, you do have to be careful switching a Dark type in on a Bug type. Bug is super effective against Dark. These two aren't the strongest, so Dark types generally can still take their moves, but it's something to bear in mind. Now let's consider the buffs, and first off we'll start with the buffs that affect both of them equally. So first we'll talk about their stats. They've both received considerable stat boosts this generation. Their bulk has been increased, so they've got base 65 HP, which isn't fantastic. They've got a low defense stat and a middling special defense stat. Their defense has now been boosted by 20 points, which is great because it takes it from being low to being reasonable, and their special defense is boosted by 10 points too, which makes it decent. So that's pretty nice, especially for utility Pokemon that are coming in as pivots and having to take some attacks. That's really helpful for both of them. Obviously it affects both of them equally, so it's not going to make one any better than the other, but it's really nice for both of them doing their utility roles. Next, another buff that they both got is Defog. What's really weird is that these two were around in Generation 4 when Defog was introduced as an HM, but these two weren't able to learn the move back then. It's only now in Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, Defog has been reintroduced as a tutor move, and these two are able to learn it. It's a really nice move in singles because it removes entry hazards, but there are 3 reasons why these two aren't the best Defoggers out there. I'll go through them quickly now. First off, these two are quite weak to entry hazards. They're weak to stealth rocks, affected by all spikes and sticky web, so that's something to bear in mind. They can't keep switching in and out to defog hazards away. Secondly, as I said, Dark types are immune to Prankster moves, they're immune to Defog, so that could be pretty annoying if you need to get rid of your hazards and your opponent has a Dark type. But as I said, the Bug type moves do threaten Dark types, so it's not too big a deal. Thirdly though, these guys are Bug types. They invite in Rock types because Rock is super effective against Bug, and generally Rock types set up Stealth Rock. So though you may get the Defog off, your opponent can bring in their Rock type and just set them up again. So these two aren't the best Defoggers out there, but it's nice to have that option, especially on utility and support mons. You could maybe find a slot on their moveset to fit this on if you didn't have it anywhere else on your team. So that's a pretty neat option. They might not be the best out there, but having more options is only a buff. Now let's get into the Pokemon specific buffs, and we'll start with Illumise. Illumise gets a new egg move of Aromatherapy, and now this allows it to be a complete cleric. It gets Wish and it gets Aromatherapy, which allows it to heal your entire team of HP and of status, which is really nice. It does have U-turn too, so you can keep up the momentum with this set quite nicely. Bear in mind that it's still not the bulkiest cleric out there, and it is weak to entry hazards, so switching in and out might take its toll on Illumise, but it's a pretty neat set to consider. The one thing I would say is it would be so nice for this Pokemon to get Healing Wish, because Prankster Healing Wish would be fantastic for it, but that's not the case yet. Okay, so now let's consider Volbeat. Previously, Volbeat did not get strong stab bug type moves. Its strongest bug type move was U-turn, and that is not very, very strong. So it's a bit of a revelation this generation when it actually learns Lunge as an egg move. What's nice about Lunge is it's got a much higher base power than U-turn, so it's now got a stronger bug type move to use, but also it reduces your opponent's attack stat, making them weaker. And considering that Volbeat also received that nice defense buff, it will be able to tank those physical hits. What this allows Volbeat to do is run more offensive sets, so you could consider maybe a choice band set. Volbeat does get Trick, which Illumise doesn't, so it could run like a choice band set, choice band U-turning around, getting some KOs with Lunge, and also being able to trick off your choice band onto unsuspecting walls will be really nice. It's annoying that Volbeat doesn't get more coverage though, so the next buff I would say is more preferential to Volbeat is that it gets access to Z moves. Its coverage is pretty poor, so Z moves will really help it out, especially because it gets Focus Punch, which will allow it to hit a very strong all-out pummeling, which can catch those steel types that might want to take its bug type moves. Bear in mind that flying types, poison types, and fairy types still resist this coverage, so it's still got a long way to go before it's a scary offensive threat, but it's neat that it does get that Lunge move now. So those are the buffs. Where does that leave us? Let's consider their different sets to see which of these two bugs is better. First off, I've already talked about Illumise's cleric abilities, so a potential set is like a specially defensive cleric, which is pretty good. It keeps up momentum, but as I say, you need to be worried because your wishes aren't too big and hazards might hurt you, so it's maybe not the most viable set for these two, but it's a neat one to consider. In terms of Volbeat, I've talked about some offensive sets. The choice band one, it could be a really fun one to use, but I don't know how viable that will be either. Its base 73 attack stat is really going to hurt it, and it could do with maybe Illumise's Tinted Lens ability instead to hit harder. That will be a lot nicer because Tinted Lens choice banded U-turn could be really, really nice. I'd say both of these sets are nice that they've been introduced and they're cool options, probably fun to try, but not the most viable way to use these two. In singles, the best way to use these bugs is still as weather inducers. So in formats where you don't have the drought and the drizzle abilities, Prankster Sunny Day, Prankster Rain Dance are fantastic ways to set up weather. So we're looking at the low Smogon tiers here, mainly for these sets. The increased bulk for these two certainly helps out, and they've still got those nice prankster moves to use. The one out of the two of these two which does it better is still Volbeat, because its U-turn is stronger. So that's something that you want to consider. But it's a very good Pokemon at doing this. And really that's where you're going to see Volbeat on the Smogon ladder. You guys have asked me to consider other formats too, because you don't all just play Smogon. So in terms of Battle Spot, it's very hard to use these in doubles because they're still not the bulkiest Pokemon. They can help with inducing weather, they can help with getting a fast Thunder Wave off, but there are other Pokemon that do that better. You can Tailwind with these, which is really nice, and Encore is really cool too. But I would say, again, there are Pokemon with maybe more offensive presence that do the same things, and I would leave these behind in doubles. But in singles, Volbeat can use a Baton Pass Tail Glow set. You can't use this in Smogon because they blanket banned Baton Pass, and I find that really sad. I love Baton Pass as like a dry pass set, so just to keep momentum, but Tail Glow Baton Pass Volbeat used to be a really fun thing to run. You can try and run that in Battle Spot singles. It's one of the only formats where you might be able to get that to work, and when it does work, it's so fun. So there you go. With Tail Glow and with a stronger U-turn, Volbeat still does have an edge over Illumise, but Illumise's Cleric set is probably more viable than Volbeat's offensive set. So Illumise has gained more than Volbeat in these buffs. It does have a more radically different role that it can play. A set that I haven't talked about yet, which I find a bit dirty and a bit gross to talk about is a Swagger Thunderwave set with Substitute, because these guys, they do have the Prankster Swagger Thunderwave Substitute, and it's really, really hard to break through. It's just really annoying. It's much worse now because Thunderwave can miss, and Confusion is only 1/3 of the time the opponent will hit themselves instead of a half, so they're not as good and as strong as they used to be, which I think is a good thing. I don't like relying on luck for your tactics, but it's another one to think about, and they both perform this equally well. But that's going to be all for today. I hope you enjoyed the video about these bug types. I find them very intriguing, and I really don't think that they've reached their potential yet. If Illumise had Healing Wish, that would be fantastic. If Volbeat had Tinted Lens, that would be great. Or if Volbeat had more special attacks so that it could actually use Tail Glow itself, that would be super fun. But as it stands, they are mainly support Pokemon, but fun ones at that, and definitely good on those weather teams. If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like, but that's going to be all for today. I've been foofootoo, you've been awesome, and hopefully see you next time. Goodbye.